魔王様。いい声だ。さすが B 級。感謝するぞルシフェル。できた。
Welcome to The Devil is a Part-Timer, where, well, the devil's comedic ally has to work a part-time job at fast food while being hunted down. In a magical world, the Dark Lord Satan and his 4 generals, Adra Malek, Lucifer, Alciel, and Malakoda, launch a campaign to conquer the continent of Entiila and subjugate humans under their rule of darkness. Despite their initial success, a hero emerges to lead the human armies against the dark forces, ultimately pushing them back to their stronghold. As Satan confronts the hero with counsel from Alciel, he ultimately concedes defeat. However, rather than face punishment, Satan and Alciel open a dimensional portal and vow to return. The portal leads Satan and Alciel to present-day Japan. Looking down, they are shocked by their human forms. Later, they are immediately taken to the nearest police station. Despite the lack of magic in this new world, Satan learns more about it. As events unfold, they obtain new identities as Sadao, Mao, and Shiro Ashia, find a place to live, open a bank account, and begin job hunting to sustain themselves. Sometime later, on his way to his part-time job at a McDonald's franchise, Sadao encounters a beautiful scarlet-haired girl at a crosswalk and offers her his umbrella to shield her from the rain. While Sadao works, he entrusts Ashia to take care of their domestic needs as well as research means to replenish their magic powers and return to Entiila. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. Who is the best leader in all of anime? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. In a flashback, after Satan and Alciel's departure from Entiila, the heroine Emilia and her comrades decide to give chase. Back in present-day Japan, Sadao tries to reason with the red-haired Emilia, now under the identity Emi Yusa, but she instead pulls a cheap knife out of her bag and makes to attack him. Afterward, they are both arrested and brought to a police station for questioning, where the officer in charge mistakes them for having a lover's quarrel, much to Emi's protest. The following morning, Emi leaves Sadao and Ashia pickles from the ingredients they had in the fridge as thanks. At the same time, the national news broadcasts a report mentioning the shooting that Emi and Sadao were involved in. Chio can't help but feel delighted as Satan accepts her offer to meet and talk about the earthquakes, with caution from her mother to be wary of muggers. Meanwhile, Emi receives an anonymous call at work from the same enemy who shot at them the previous night, explaining that destroying both her and Satan would be in Entiila's best interests. Later, the police are able to track down Sadao due to his bicycle, and Emi is forced to vouch for his identity. As they leave the station, Emi tells Sadao about their common enemy and warns him to be careful since killing him is her job. Afterward, Ashia buys Sadao new clothes for his date with Chio. Finally, it's 5 p.m., the time of the date. Unbeknownst to Sadao, Ashia follows them to a nearby cafe to make sure nothing happens to Sadao. As he suspiciously watches them, Emi catches him in the act and is utterly shocked to see Sadao on a date and enviously remarks at Chio's cute appearance. Upon dragging Ashia into the cafe to eavesdrop, Chio begins explaining to Sadao about a strange language she's been hearing lately, which happens to be the language of Entiile, unknown to her. She further mentions that the people speaking the language are trying to contact someone and have made references to a large earthquake that will occur soon. Sadao, realizing that this phenomenon is an interdimensional communication system called Idealink, concludes that the earthquakes are most likely caused by a sonar spell attempting to detect him and Emi. While Sadao is in the middle of his realization, Emi walks into the cafe and loudly declares her intention to assist Chio. However, However, as Chiyo is about to confess to Sadao, Emi interrupts, leading to a misunderstanding between Chiyo and Emi. A heated argument ensues, and suddenly a large-scale earthquake strikes. After waking up surrounded by destruction, Chiyo and Emi make up, and Emi warns Chiyo to stay away from Sadao before putting her to sleep with a sleep spell. With Chiyo unconscious, Emi calls out to Satan, who appears from some debris in his demonic form with increased amounts of magic. As Emi thinks that she has enough magic left to conjure a sword strong enough to kill him, Satan tells her that he will save them. As Satan moves the debris, Emi is shocked and wonders why he would save them. Satan continues to use his magic to clear the debris and keep everyone in the mall out of harm's way, and in the aftermath, the authorities report that there were no casualties. Back in the present, Sadao reverts to his human form and learns that Chiyo Sasaki is the daughter of Inspector Sasaki, whom he used a spell on to get information when they first arrived in Japan. Sadao relays this to Emi, explaining that Chiyo must have gotten feedback from the spell, which is how she intercepted the idea link. He further explains that the earthquake was no coincidence, since it struck the exact spot they were both at, and that the enemy didn't try again when they got out of the debris because he started to regain his powers. The next day, Emi shows up at Sadao's apartment and falls down the stairs. As Ashiya leaves to buy bandages, Emi grows upset at the kindness Sadao had been showing towards her, claims that it is out of character. She further bursts into tears and states that her reason for wanting to kill him is because of his tyranny over the people of Entiaila that led to her father's death. As Sadao laments that back then he didn't understand people's feelings, Ashiya walks in with Chiyo, who misunderstands the scene and runs away with a broken heart. Just then, their landlady, Miki, comes in and advises that they go after Chiyo and make references to the idea link and sonar spell. At the same time, two of Emilia's comrades from Entiaila hurry through another portal to Japan. While tearfully admitting she had fallen in love with Sadao, Chiyo bumps into a strange person who tells her he will use her envy and despair of the Dark Lord and the hero to surpass Satan. He then manifests black wings, and as Sadao, Emi, and Ashiya approach from afar, an explosion occurs and the winged person takes to the air. As Sadao, Ashiya, and Emi climb the rubble, Sadao acknowledges the person, Demon General Lucifer. Emi asks Lucifer how he survived their previous battle on Entiaila. Sadao is able to deduce that he was abided by Olba Meyer, who reveals himself behind Lucifer, much to Emi's shock. Sadao further states that Olba was the only one who could have schemed against him and Emi, and that he was going to assume power in Entiaila after killing them and promising to return Lucifer to heaven in exchange for his help. Lucifer then attacks them, with Ashiya taking a near-fatal hit, causing Sadao and Emi to flee. Sadao explains that Lucifer draws his magic from people's negative emotions, and thus was responsible for the string of muggings reported in the area, which he realized after his own magic returned during the mall collapse when the victim's fear fueled his own power. Since he could have regained his magic any time, Lucifer asks Sadao why he didn't throw the world into chaos, and he states that he doesn't want to cause trouble for the present world that treated him well, just as Lucifer uses Chico's emotions to attack them with a barrage of magic bullets. Olba appears with a gun and shoots Sadao's leg, just as he teleports them to the front of the crowded Sazazuka station. Here, as the crowd looks on in awe at the spectacle, a magic bullet seemingly kills Sadao. Lucifer then attacks the overhead roadway and it collapses straight towards Emi and Chiyo. Just then, Satan emerges in his demonic form and saves Emi and Chiyo from being crushed. Emi realizes he teleported them to the crowded area on purpose so he could feed off everyone's fear and regain his magic. Satan then projects a barrier around the entire city, knocking all the civilians unconscious. Now, before we continue, here's a shout out to Warner Media Discovery, who responded to the question of the day on a redo of Healer video and said, "Perfect Blue is a really scary anime." Now, back to the action. Emilia summons her magic and takes to the skies and engages Lucifer in aerial combat. Emilia is saved from a strong attack by Ashiya, also in his demon form, explaining that Satan's magic saved him from death. Lucifer, outmatched, coerces Olba to use his remaining magic to help him. Satan promises to show Chio how the soft serve machines work later and lets the debris down gently. Oba begins attacking with lightning magic but is defeated by Alciel. Finally, Satan rises into the air. Having gained enough magic power, appearing in front of the petrified Lucifer and finishes him with a multi-layered magical punch. In the aftermath of the battle, the group officially introduces themselves to Chio, and Lucifer gives Emmy back her wallet, which she used to contact her at the call center. Later, a new tenant moves into Mickey's apartment building, and Satan catches her as she falls down the stairs and passes out. What will happen next? Find out on our next recap of The Devil is a Part-Timer.